What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we are starting a new series of books. As you can see, there I have a lot of books. So write in the comment section which book you want to do next, and I'll read them probably next video. Got you guys. Peace. Now, I'm gonna continue the series of Auntie. As you can see, it is right there. And I'm gonna read you, I believe, from chapter 9 to 14. Let's hit it. So, I'm gonna request some books from David Williams. First of all, it is not sponsored by David Williams. Just want to tell you that there's Awful Auntie, one of my personal favorites. And these two, which I really request, Mr. Stink. It's called Mr. Stink. And it is also by David Williams, but illustrated by Rutain Beak. Also another one, Rat Burger, by David Williams. And it is pretty, you can say, a little bit violent. So there's basically this girl and boy out of school, person selling rats. Won't spoil any more for you. And this one's about a girl, tramp, house, and they meet, and her mother doesn't want them to meet. So hopefully you can buy these three amazing books at David Williams. So I'm gonna leave that right there. And if you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications, I'll be giving these two books out to the winners of this video. Let's go. Also, if you leave a review, I will also be giving you one of these. And I will be I'll be drawing a name out from my hat and in my house. So make sure to stick around, hit that like button, and stay awesome. Okay, chapter 9. Hunted down. If there is one piece of information I hope you take away from this book, it's this. You can't reason with a Barbarian mountain elf. Oh, hello, Wanger, stuttered Stella. Don't worry about me. I'm just popping out to take in some air. The owl's two yellow, upside-down owl's eyes narrowed. So there's no need to mention this to my lovely aunt. Squawk! Wanger's squawk was deafening loud. Squawk, squawk, squawk! Shh, pleaded the girl. It was no use. You can't just reason with them. Soon the monstrous bird was flapping his vast wings, knocking over an ancient suit of armor and sending it, and in the flail it was holding in its metal glove, falling to the ground with a mighty crash, clatter, rattle. Shh, shh, you stupid bird! That was almost as if the great Barbarian Mount understood what the little girl was saying. because this made Wanger squawk and flap his wings even more violently. Within moments, Stella could hear Aunt Alberta thundering out of the study towards her. "Wanger!" she hooted. "Wanger!" Trembling with fear, Stella pushed the key in the lock. It rattled around as she frantically tried to turn it. Out of the corner of her eye, Stella could see her aunt getting closer and closer as she made her way along the corridor. Alberta wasn't a fast runner. Wrestling was more her kind of sport. However, she was advancing steadily like a tank. After what seemed like an hour, but was probably less than a second, the little girl finally heard the click of the lock turning. Fumbling, she grabbed the handle and hurled herself out in the darkness. The moon was full and low that night. It illuminated the thick covering of snow on the ground. Her feet were moving so fast she could barely feel the cold. As she ran and ran, the little girl could just about to make it where she was running to. Needless, she ran straight into the huge snow figure that was being built on the lawn. Up close, she realized it has to be at least 10 times as tall as her. Looking back over her shoulder, Stella could see her aunt framed in the front doorway. Wanger perched on her hand. The woman was standing still. That she was not chasing after her frightened Stella. It was as if Aunt Alberta was in complete control. "Bring me back that wretched girl," bellowed the woman, and then the great bird launched himself into the air. Stella's heart was pounding now. The towering metal gates at the end of the driveway were still a long way ahead of her. Her feet were clawing up with the cold. Now she was tumbling as she ran. Up her somewhere, Stella could hear the flapping of wings. She looked up at the black sky, but couldn't see where the owl was. The sound of wings was getting louder and louder. Wanger was getting nearer and nearer. From the doorway, Aunt Alberta was calling out commands to her bird. "Stay on course, Wanger! Stay on course!" Stella tried to run faster. She ran faster than she ever had in her life. Tonight, it felt like she was running for her life. At last, she reached the huge iron gates to Saxby Hall. Desperately, she pulled at them, and they rattled and rattled, but they wouldn't budge. Aunt Alberta must have locked them too. The girl was completely out of breath. Her feet were cramping up. Her skin was burning with cold. But she had some fight left in her. There must be another way out, she thought. She began running around the perimeter wall. It was tall and made of bricks, but there had to be a hole in it somewhere, or a tree she could climb so she could get over into one of the many fields that backed on Saxby Hall. "Now dive!" shouted Alberta. Stella could hear the great bird speeding through the air behind her. The girl didn't dare look up. She just kept on running. Suddenly her feet wasn't touching the ground anymore. Her legs were still moving, but now she was flying through the air. "Squawk!" came a deafening cry in the ear. She looked in terror to see Wanger's razor-sharp talons wrapped around her shoulders. The giant owl had plucked her from the ground as if she was a hunting prey. Stella tried to shake the bird off. Desperately, she lashed out at the fearsome creature with her fists. Wanger suddenly soared high into the black sky. Stella looked beneath her dangly feet. It was an awfully long way down. If the owl let now, she would plummet to the ground. It was so terrifying, Stella scrunched up her eyes as tightly as she could. Meanwhile, Aunt Alberta watched as the owl circled in the sky before returning her knees to the house, a sinister smile across her face. Chapter 10, Locked in the Cellar. "Of course this is just for your own safety, child," lied Aunt Alberta. The woman had taken her niece down to the tiny dark coal cellar in the vaults of the house. The walls, floors, and ceilings were completely black with coal dust. The cellar was underground, so there were no windows. The only light was from a flickering candle Alberta was holding. Wanga was perched on her other hand. Stella was still barefoot and in nightdress had been forced to sit down on the floor. Aunt Alberta towered over her niece menacingly. "You can't lock me up in here," explained Stella. It's only for your own good," replied the woman. "How can you be shut away in coal cellar be for my own good?" The girl's spirit wasn't broken yet. "Biggest child, with your poor mother and father gone, it has fallen to me, your favourite auntie Wanty, to looky wookie after you. You are my only auntie," said the girl. "Then I must be your favourite. I know their passing must be terribly upsetting for you, as indeed it is to me." "You don't seem to be sad about it," interrupted Stella. "But it didn't affect Alberta's flow. But you must never try to run away from home again, running through the snow barefoot in your nightdress. Good heavens, you could catch your deathy wethy. Now I need to know the truth about what happened to my parents," demanded the girl. Aunt Alberta paused for a moment. Her eyes narrowed. "I told you the truth, young lady. It was an accident. accident. Spells accident. Each word was loud and clear, coming out of her mouth like bullets being fired from a gun. "It's a lie! How dare you, wicked child!" Aunt Alberta had never, ever told a lie. "You told me all my bones were broken. That was a lie." So could see the woman becoming angrier and angrier. Her big, bulbous nose was twitching with fury, but she was trying to hide it. "They were all broken, child, every last one. That's why I bandaged you up. And you lied on the telephone on my headmistress when I said I was in a coma." Now Aunt Alberta was getting a long, low growl. Grrr! This started the owl, who was perched as always on her hand. Wanga turned his head 180 degrees to see where the sound was coming from. Aunt Alberta quickly composed herself. "You had only just woken up, child. You weren't well enough to go back to school straight away. So yes, perhaps I bent the truth a teeny weeny bit, but only to protect you, my darling Stella Willa." Aunt Alberta had an answer for everything. Stella sighed. "I am really hungry and thirsty." "Of course you are, you poor dear. Wagner can do one of his special shakes," said the woman with a flourish. "Shakes?" asked the girl. Yes, like you had been when you were in a coma. So nutritious. In fact, I have some very tasty ingredients in my pockets. He can chew it up all for you, so it's nice in liquid form." "No," protested Stella. Aunt Alberta started rummaging through her pockets. "What do you fancy?" she asked cheerfully. She pulled out a cockroach and a field mouse. "Cockroach and mouse shake?" "No," protested the girl. Aunt Alberta did something more rummaging. "Sparrow and toad drink?" "No." "How about a nice worm and mole smoothie?" "No." Wagner was becoming overexcited of seeing all this food, and was bobbing his head and squawking in delight. His headmistress dropped a handful of these poor unfortunate creatures in his bill. The owl began swirling them around in his mouth. "You can have them all together. What a special treat." "I think I'm going to be sick," said Stella, covering her mouth. There's a bucket in the corner, child. You can do your toilet water in there, your poo-poo doodle pops, and your wee willy wee wees." The woman turned her attention back to the owl. "Wagner, swallow." The food slipped down his throat. "Here's a good owly wowly." Alberta kissed him on the bill and throttled him to the metal door. "You can't leave me in it," protested Stella. "It's for your own safety, child. We can't have you trying to run away again now, can we?" Well, where are you going?" asked the girl. "I need to find those deeds. There's nowhere to be seen in your father's study. I tried irrigating Gibbon, but the old fool mistook me for a horse. He kept trying to pat me and feed me sugar lumps from his hand, saying, 'Nice horsey.'" Stella tried to stifle a laugh as her aunt continued. I've turned this house upside down looking for those teeth. When your father was read, he said that he'd hidden them somewhere I would never find them. It's absolutely infuriating." Alberta stamped her feet on the floor in frustration before she looked at her trembling niece. "Are you sure you don't know where those deeds are, child?" "Yes, replied Stella, a little too fast this time. Alberta would sense the child was lying. "Surely you dear papa would have told your darling daughter." "No," Stella gulped again. She knew exactly where the deeds were. Her papa had told her this hiding place and was indigenous. It was somewhere the late Lord Saxby was convinced that his sister Alberta would never look. Can you guess where? Behind the walls. Chapter number 11. The deeds were hidden in the Tiddlywinkies rulebooks. In searching for the deeds to Saxby Hall, Stella's father Chester was sure his sister would empty the safe, ransack his study, even tear up the floorboards. But she would never ever look there. Of course, Aunt Alberta was a dreadful cheat at Tiddlywinkies. The official rules of the game were absolutely no interest to her whatsoever. She had her own rules, Alberta rules, rules that she could change on a whim. The book had never been opened. It was perfect hiding place for the deeds. In the coal cellar, Aunt Alberta looked down at her niece. "Well, Stella, you need to have a good old thinky-winky about where those deeds are hidden." "I've an idea." "I've no idea, Auntie." "So you kept saying, perhaps after being left down in here alone in the dark for a few days, you might just remember, Toodaloo-pimp." With that, Aunt Alberta slammed the thick metal door behind her and locked it. This time she took a key out of the lock for safekeeping. She wasn't going to be caught again like that. Stella listened to the sound of reducing footsteps as her aunt climbed the old stone staircase back into the main part of the house. Without the light from the candle, the cellar was now pitch black. It was a pity that Stella was afraid of the dark. Still in her night dress, the girl crawled over to where she remembered the door was. Feeling with her hand, she found a handle, but it wouldn't open. It was pointless to even try, but Stella was desperate not to be alone in here a moment longer. Next, she traced the edges of the room with her fingers. Searching for any holes or gaps in the walls, she might be able to scratch away with her fingernails to make her bigger. There weren't any. The floor was made up of stone and had to be inches thick. Ow! She banged her head against a metal bucket, and her hands found a mound of piece of coal that had been piled up in the corner of the room. Defeated. Move the lumps of coal around with a hand and attempt to make a pillow for her head. Lying there, she began to softly cry herself to sleep. Just as the girl shut her eyes, there was a sound. It was the sound of someone or something moving around behind the walls. She had heard the exact same noise before, while drifting off to sleep in her bedroom. Back then, she was still with Mother and Papa. Stella would sometimes become so frightened that she would run into their room. And then her mother and father would give her a big cuddle, and she would snuggle under the blanket between them. They would only gently stroke her hair and plant tender kisses on her forehead. Papa would tell her that it was just the tiny mouse or rattles and clanks of silly old water pipes. How Stella wished she could run to her parents' bedroom tonight. She would trade anything, all her future and all her past, for one last family hug right now. The sound was becoming louder, that someone or something was on the other side of the wall. But moving nearer and nearer to her, it was far too loud to be a mouse, and there was no hot water pipes or all the way down in the coal cellar. Stella didn't dare breathe. She thought if she didn't move or make a sound, she might be safe, and whatever it was might pass. However, her heart was pounding in her chest. But, it was going to give her away. But. In the last silence of the cellar, her heartbeat seemed as loud as thunder. But. Stella held her breath. Then, out of the gloom, she heard a voice, a child's voice saying, "Help me." The child screamed in terror. "Ah!" "Oh, for blooming sake, stop screaming," said the voice. This only makes Stella scream more. "Ah!" Oh, shut you, Keiko. It was definitely the voice of a boy. This accident was finally rougher around the edges than Stella. Sorry guys. This is chapter 12. We're up to chapter 12. Also, it is my birthday in, I think, 6 days or 5 days, or I'm pretty sure it's 5 days. Okay, so it's gonna be my birthday in 5 days. So all I want you guys to do as a gift for my birthday is to hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 10 likes. And let's see if we can get to 100 views. Then I'll make a video about my birthday. Thank you guys, you've been a blessing in my life. So I want to thank you very much. This accident was infinitely rougher around the edges of Stella. The Stella was pitch black and the girl had no idea who was she talking to. Who are you? Demanded Stella. I'll tell ya, but I've promised you won't scream the place down, he replied. Yes? You promise? Yes, replied Stella a little bit more confidently this time. Ready? Yes. You sure you won't scream? Yes. Stella was becoming a tiny bit irritated now. The voice paused for a moment. Well, get on with it. I'm getting on with it. So I'm a ghost. Stella screamed. The ghost was mildly annoyed. You promised you weren't gonna scream. Well, I didn't know you were gonna say you were a ghost, protested the girl. Well, what you want me to do? Tell a porcupine? What? Lie. A lie. Cock-a-rhythm slang, innit it? Stella finally understood. Oh, yes. What you want me to do? Say my Father Christmas and stomach? No, but the girl hesitated. But why? You can't be a ghost. Ghosts aren't real. My mama and papa told me so. The voice replied rather smug tone. Oh, did they? Mama and papa? He chuckled at how posh the girl was. Very la-di-dee. Well, if ghosts aren't real, why did you scream? There was a silence of a moment. Stella couldn't scream just for fun. Likely story. Well, it's completely dark down here. I can't see you. I can't see a thing. If you're really a ghost, then prove it. Stella was sure he had him on the ropes now. All right, came a confident reply. Shift some of this here coal out of the way. Me? Asked the girl incredulously. Despite not having any money, Stella enjoyed a privilege upbringing as a member of the upper class. Being posh, she was not used to being given orders, especially not to move lumps of coal, and especially not in an uncouth manner by someone so clearly of a lower class who was rather headmistress might have charitably described as an oink. Yeah, you, the ghost replied. It was clear he was having one of those girls' attitudes, but it wasn't giving up yet. Well, why can't you do it? She said definitely. By the sound of the ghost's rough accent, Stella was sure moving coal around the floor cellar was much more like his kind of thing. In fact, he guessed he would probably love to do it. In fact, it would actually be a pleasure, an honor, perhaps even something of a treat. Maybe if it was his birthday, giving him the opportunity to give some coal out would make the perfect present. I'm stuck on the other side of it in this here coal chute, and I ain't got no place to shift it to. Well, are you a ghost then, aren't you? Duh, yeah. So you can't just, waft through it? Nah, real ghosts can't waft. Stella's understanding of ghosts came purely from the fancial stories he had read. It was more than a little disappointing to learn that ghosts would not walk through walls after all. not least because it meant she had to move this mountain of coal by herself. "Sorry, I had no idea," she said. Yet the girl stood totally still, hoping that if she did nothing for long enough, this oink would do it for her anyways. However, this was not to be. "Come on," the ghost moaned. "The quicker you get started, the quicker you finish." Stella sighed and bent over to feel where the coal was on the third floor of the cellar. Reluctantly, she started moving pieces aside. It was hard work, and when she paused for a moment to get her breath back, the ghost shouted, "Get a move on." "I'm going as fast as I can," protested Stella. "Sorry, but moving coal around is not something I normally do." The ghost let out a chuckle. "Nah, you one of them poshes." "What do you mean I beg your pardon?" "Posho." The ghost seemed to really enjoy saying the word and started to tease her with it. "Posho, posho, posho." It was all very childish, but then she was a child. "Well, the ghost of a child. I'm not a posho," exclaimed the girl, more than a little offended. "Nah, of course you're not. Thank you. Now come on, posho, and put your back into it." "Ha ha. Now I know when you're thinking, why do you have those been illustrations in this chapter? The pictures are the best bit." "Well, that's because the last few pages of the story had taken place completely in the dark. In case you feel cheated, there are some illustrations especially for you." That's the Stella. That's the coal cellar, and that's a pile of coal. A light in the shape of a boy. There was no point Stella arguing with the ghost. The little girl sighed and went back to work. Groping with her hands in the dark, she continued moving the lumps of coal. Oh, sorry guys. Chapter 13. We're almost there. One more chapter. There was no point Stella arguing with the ghost. The little girl sighed and went back to work. Groping her hands in the dark, she continued moving the lumps of coal across the cellar floor. After a while, she could see nothing glowing. At first, she couldn't even make out what it was, but she moved more coal out of the way and realized it was a pair of feet. Dirty-looking feet that were somehow lighting up the cellar. Now she could see what she was doing. The girl quickened her pace. Soon, all the coal had been pushed aside, and standing right in front of her was a light shape of the body. A figure wearing shoes, a shirt, and was holding a brush. He was clearly being a chimney sweep, a boy who did in the olden days was sent crawling up chimneys to brush away the coal dust. Now, presumably, his full-time occupation was ghost. "Well, that took you a while," said with a cheeky smile. Stella couldn't believe her eyes. She had been right all along. Those noises she had heard in the middle of the night were a ghost. Saxby Hall was really haunted. That was the living proof. Well, dead proof. "You're really short for a ghost," mused Stella. "Oh yes, nice, isn't it? Being hiding myself away from donkeys." "Donkeys?" The girl was confused. "Donkeys? Yes." "Oh." And that's a picture of the ghost right there. And also his name is Soot. Soot. "So I've been hiding away because I didn't want to frighten nobody. And the first person I met said I'm a short horse." "Sorry," replied Stella, not quite meaning it. Nah, you said it now, aren't you? You've heard you crying. It made me sad. I thought I might be able to help." "I wasn't crying, really. I just had something in my eye," replied the girl, trying to sound as grown up as possible. But that is kind of you. Let's try and make friends." She offered out her hand slowly. "My name is Lady Stella Saxby of Saxby Hall." "Oh, la-dee-dee-dee and lady-dee-da." The girl was most amused and began to mimic the girl's upper-class voice. "Charmed, I'm sure, Lady Posh of Poshy Hall in Poshington." Now she began doffing his cap in the manner so over the top that there was a little doubt she only pretended to be impressed. Stella observed his displayed and a pained grin on her face. "So what's your name?" "Soot." "No, I asked what your name is, not what you sweep away I know, it's Suit. Suit, that's your name? Yeah. The girl couldn't help but laugh. That's not a proper name. You can't be called Suit. The ghost didn't look at all pleased at Sal's response. That's it? Have a good old laugh, milady. I will, she replied before bursting into hysterics. Ha ha ha. Suit folded his arms, waiting for this rude little madam to stop. You're all finished? Yes, replied Stella, wiping her tear from laughter from eye. So please tell me, how does one being end up called? She was not trying to giggle. Suit. It ain't my fault. I was never given a name. I was abandoned as a baby and grew up in a workhouse. I never knew my mum and dad. The old man who run the workhouse tried to thrash all our boys with his belt. Even when we ain't do nothing. So I ran away. I was still only little and I met a gang of boys on the street. They said you could find food and loadings if you worked as a chimney sweep. So that's what I did. And one day I came down from the chimney covered head to toe in coal dust and my master just called me Suit. Now the girl felt very guilty for having lost. This poor boy experienced life had been a word away from hers. Stella had never been inside a workshop and shuddered to think how brutal it would be. As for being shoved up a chimney to clean the coal dust, that was unimaginable. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean to laugh. It's just that I've never heard of anyone being called Suit. Don't you worry, milady. Stella now had a question she wasn't at all sure how to press. So, I hope you didn't mind me asking. Spit it out. How'd you, come to be a ghost? Suit looked at her and shook his head. He clearly thought that you was absolutely stupid thing to ask. You have to die first, don't you? Yes, I gather all that, remembered the girl. So, forgive me, but how did you come to be, brown bread? Brown bread rhymes with dead. So, I guess, you're getting it. The pair shared a smile. Well, milady, you may not believe it, but I died in this very house. We're up to chapter 15. We're up to chapter 14. And I'll see you next time. Peace. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, turn on post notifications. I'll see you later. Stay awesome, stay safe, and stay cool. Peace.